Welcome to the Real Retirees of New Jersey, powered by Liberty Financial Group and Artemis Wealth Advisors. Randy and Peggy Fisher want to help you retire once and retire right. Get more information at therealretireesofnewjersey.com. They never throw the first punch, but they're always a knockout.
Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for downloading. But most importantly, thanks for listening. This is the Real Retirees of New Jersey podcast with Peggy and Randy Fisher. It's all powered by Liberty Financial Group and Artemis Wealth Advisors. You can get more when you visit therealretireesofnewjersey.com. You can find that and all the information here in the show notes. My name is Mark Owens. Now, let's get to the show. You had an adventure. You had an excursion. Tell me about it.
We went on a wonderful excursion for Easter.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful trip. For all my retirees out there,
glorious.
I'll tell you, a really nice time is down at Ave Maria, Florida in the 55 and over community. I was ready to sign up. It was that nice, wasn't it, Randy?
Were you like house hunting?
Yeah, every time we went house hunting, I found houses and she wouldn't pull the trigger. That's how nice it was that she wanted to be there, right?
That's true. No, so we went down. It was really nice. Our father-in-law has been asking us for I don't know how many years to come visit him in his beautiful Ave Maria community.
We got dragged down
in Florida. So we, packed up the kids and we went down there. My adult kids, that is. And it was absolutely eye-opening and amazing. Like, to me, I could see myself in retirement in the beautiful 55 and older community and how it's all set up. I love it. I mean, it's fantastic. Don't you want to play pickleball and bocce ball and swim at the resort pool? Go to the gym.
Sounds like a lot of sweating.
Have your golf
Florida.
cart. The golf carts are the big thing down there. Instead of driving your car, you take the golf cart to wherever you got to go.
Crash that one instead.
Yeah, it was nice. No, well, nobody was crashing golf carts.
No, not yet. You didn't have long enough to drive it.
And then the big eye-opening event was me and the kids every night would go alligator hunting. This is what we do. Instead of seeing dogs on the streets, you see alligators in the ponds. It was absolutely awesome.
Hunting, did you go and
It was my favorite time. It was my favorite time of the day.
Yes.
Because they went out and I stayed home alone.
It was Randy's quiet time. But Mark, the exciting part was me and the kids, we would go on the golf cart, which I thought they just got a big kick out of that you don't drive cars down there. You drive golf carts.
24, 23, and 17.
Yeah, it was fun. We had a good time. So it was dusk, and supposedly this is when the gators come out. And you know what? We saw a lot of gators. Just as you would see dogs walking in the village there.
Mark, they all came home.
The gators.
They all got home. It was not dangerous.
It wasn't
crazy.
My daughter's exact words were, "Oh my God, I don't think I could do that again," because her heart was pounding so hard.
They make it sound like they were Steve Irwin.
We were. And then you would see, so they had a lot. It was such a beautiful community, right? So you're on a golf course. This is retirement too. I love this, 55 and over. You're on a golf course, and what comes with the golf course is a lot of beautiful, grass and waterways, right? And then, but you're in Florida, so what comes with that is alligators, which to me was just awesome.
You said alligators 92 times.
I love it because it was so great. I mean, here in New Jersey,
we've established that Florida has alligators.
You don't see alligators here.
Right?
You see
That's like
dogs.
Newark has rats.
Yes, it was awesome.
go alligator or rat hunting?
But so the best part of this is my father-in-law, who's in his 70s, right? He lived in New Jersey his whole entire life. The rat race, the traffic, worked for a big company like AT&T, worked morning till night, second jobs, the whole entire thing. My thing is when we were done at the end of this was, I said to him before we left, I said, this is amazing that this is your retirement. Your retirement is waking up every day. So this would be our little thing here. You wake up, what's going to be for breakfast? We made these beautiful breakfasts. You don't do that here, what's French toast or pancakes, things like that. Then, what do we want to do? We want to play bocce ball. You want to go to the gym. You want to golf. You want to go for a ride in a golf cart. Okay. That's the big decisions of the day. Right. You want to go swimming. Then when you come home from that, do you want to take a little nap? Because you're a little tired from that little swim or a little bit of the heat outside. And then you decide, well, do we want to go out to eat? Do you want to make something to eat? What do you want to have for dinner? And then after that, it's off to bed. It was beautiful. It was beautiful.
No, but this sounds like a vacation.
I'm snoring over here.
This was to me, it's vacation, and that's someone's retirement. That's exactly it, Mark. That's where I was going with this, right?
Oh, you were?
To anybody else, that's a vacation. Well, it was for us, right? But to my father-in-law, that's his everyday life, which I felt so grateful for someone who works so hard their whole entire life that this is where they end up, right? We talk about this all the time.
But it has to do with the difference between, there's a big dynamic and a shift between where people used to retire and how they retire today and everything else. But let me just say this. The way retirement is basically evolved because of the lack of pension plans these days.
Yes.
Right? Back when people had pensions and for lack of better words, there's a generation that basically has those pension plans that are basically dying like dinosaurs.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? Not the people are dying like dinosaurs. The pension plans are gone.
Right.
13 to 15% of people who retire today have a pension plan. That's a humongous portion of your guaranteed retirement incomes in addition to Social Security. So those people who don't have that type of guaranteed income moving forward, there's going to be a giant gap between the haves and the have-nots, the do's and the do-nots, right? The people who are going to survive on Social Security and the people who are basically going to survive on the country club living.
Yeah.
And it's really, you need the planning in place in order to get it done. Because
that is true.
To replace a pension plan, a guaranteed source of income in addition to Social Security, it takes planning.
It does.
You just can't wake up one morning and go, oh, I got an extra, $800,000, $1 million, $500,000, whatever it is, that I'm going to draw income off for the rest of my life in addition to Social Security.
Right.
You have to plan for that to happen. And the magic of it is time helps you over time, compounding money on top of money on top of money on top of money. Even though we go through market swings, market crashes, market corrections, market booms, the market will help you create wealth. Keeping wealth is an entirely different subject, right?
Yeah.
So as you start to wean towards retirement, you also don't want to take those crazy chances. But what I was getting at is, there is going to be a time in the near future that there's going to be a distinction, a big distinction between the haves and the have-nots again.
Well, it is true. And like going back to, just to give a little background to your dad, I mean, he did have, a pension. He was with a company that gave him that. He did have an awesome annuity, which now is generating
Unbelievable financial advisor.
Exactly. That is correct. Two unbelievable advisors. He did have an annuity that helps him with that monthly income for the rest of his life, right? That is a big part. And he did also have a house of which he sold, which got him to where he that was a big portion too of, hey, I sold my house in New Jersey for a lot of money and now I can go and have that nice 55 and older home there in Florida with the money that you sold it for, right? That was another big portion of it. So all the pieces of the puzzle for him all came together nicely, but he always thought in his head, right, Rand, that was never going to happen.
Well, he's been dying since he's been 40.
Yeah, that's true. I'm going to die. I'll never see my granddaughter get married. I'll never see her. Yeah, she did get married.
Every time he says it 100 times, another decade goes by.
It's true.
He's going to live to 105.
But also to health. I mean, what I also found amazing too, Mark, was the people down in Florida, right? And even including my father-in-law, who really wasn't, in the always the best shape. But here he was at 70, what is he? 75 years old, playing pickleball with my kids, playing bocce ball with my kids. I mean, that was also an amazing event that I saw, especially the people who were down there. A lot of people were in great shape. Some weren't, some, weren't. But, and we talked to the people at the pool. Those are the people who were like doing their little aerobics in the pool. That was another little activity that was nice for the folks down there.
That was absolutely nothing to watch.
Yeah. That was always fun. But also,
it wasn't like you were at Club Med or something.
Yes, but I also couldn't believe, the bocce ball teams. They were out there, Mark, at 8:00 in the morning. The
they
pickleball.
Were vicious.
They were too. Yeah.
Vicious.
Yeah.
And the women were more vicious than the men.
And the pickleball people. I mean, my one son who's really good at pickleball, he got tired of playing with us who don't really, aren't the experts. But he was playing with 70-year-olds who were actually really awesome at it, right? And here my son's 22 years old is playing, pickleball all day long with the great people of Ave Maria down there. But he was having a hard time keeping up himself, which was great, All
right, hold on. Let me give that number out. 908-844-8337. Again, 908-844-8337. Talking about getting to that life that you've worked so hard for in retirement. But they hear this. They say, that sounds great. I want to live that life. I want the sun and the pickleball. But I don't want to leave my family in Jersey. I'm happy where I'm at. If we want to live that life, is that possible without getting away from here?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Sure. Develop a plan.
Absolutely. It's all about the plan. Yeah. Because we don't have everybody who wants to go. We have people who go to Delaware. We have people going to Florida. We have people, like you said, Mark, who just want to stay here in New Jersey. Their kids are here. Their grandkids are here. So they want to stay here. But listen, any dream that you have, we always talk about at the beginning of the plan. What is it that you think you want to do? Right. So we talk about these things. And what I do love about it, just like my father-in-law, we talked about these things with him 15, 20 years ago, and now here he is, and we can see the end of the road. It's so awesome to see that we put this plan together for him. And like I said, there were so many factors that were involved, but it was all, again, about the plan and how we got him to where he wanted to be. And we could do that with anybody, no matter where you want to go or what you want to do in your retirement.
And retirement's evolved over time, right? So in the 40s and 50s, I mean, people basically worked until they died.
Yeah,
right?
true.
Because also think about that. Life expectancy was about 60, 65 years old.
We're much higher now.
And when they couldn't work anymore, they lived in a nucleus family where, you know, it was grandma and grandpa and then their kids and then their grandkids all in the same location. So it kind of panned out, right?
Yeah.
As things started. And that was in the beginning, that was the very beginning of pension plans, right? So then pension plans evolved through the golden ages of 1950s through 60s. And that was predominantly through, you know, defined pensions in union heavy jobs. So people who literally had those defined pension plans, they would work, but they wanted to retire early because they got a chance to take advantage of that. And if you think about this, once they really retired in their late 50s, life expectancy from then on was only about a 10-year window.
Right.
Right. So they would basically, you know, kind of live until their 70s or so.
Yeah.
And at that point, I mean, I can't say that they were decrepit, but there wasn't like, you know, pickleball and horseshoes and, you know.
It's different retirement living
it was
then.
different
Yes,
retirement
correct.
living,
Totally.
right?
Yes, we get that.
You know, push more towards the 1970s. And, you know, you start to get into the migration into the suburban family.
Yeah.
And what did that do? It basically weakened the families that there were no more a nucleus. They were basically living apart. You also had what? Divorce, right? So divorce was actually a bigger thing in the 1970s, early 1980s. People started to move away. So then they actually had to start relying on what? Themselves for retirement for the most part. And they needed to start putting away some money. But 401k basically helped them because they migrated away from the traditional pension plan to a contribution plan.
Right.
Here's where we get to the division of which road do you take?
Right.
Am I going to be the haves or am I going to be the have-nots?
Right.
Right. So the people who then didn't have a pension plan or had a cash balance pension plan and a couple dollars went to 401k, if they didn't decide to start putting some money away, they were going to be left behind. Those are the people today that 85% of retirees, their primary income source is what?
Social Security.
Social Security.
That's right.
It's not their own personal savings.
Exactly.
It's not anything else because what did they put away? Nothing.
Yeah.
Because the savings rate was about zero.
Yeah.
So that whole road of split to the left or split to the right came down to a couple people started putting some money away in 401ks. And believe it or not, less than 30% of the public to this day only invest in 401k.
Yeah.
I think that's an unbelievable statistic.
It feels very low.
It does.
It's
but
very
it's
low.
true. But it is true.
Why?
Well, I think things are much more expensive.
Because also we're consumers and not savers.
Exactly. And things are much more expensive. I even think of like the younger people, like my daughter who's trying to get a house and, you know, things like that. It's much harder for the kids, or when I say kids, I mean, you know, younger adults who are just starting out, right? Yeah. But I find it so much harder for them. The costs of things are just so much more. I mean, the average in the state of New Jersey, I mean, my daughter's looking right now, and an apartment is $3,000 a month. Never mind a mortgage, right? At the interest rate that it is, it's so much harder.
Plus taxes.
Yes, plus taxes, plus homeowners insurance, plus all of it. It's so much harder for them today than it was. I even think of my first house and how much it was. You know, it's totally different, right? Than the way we grew up with it.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, inflation definitely bites into things.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
That's really going to be a big fear for the future. It's definitely something you're going to have to take into consideration.
Yeah.
But as the stock market started to boom and those people who put away money into their 401k, there's where the disparity started to happen. Because when you first start putting money in 401k or in a savings plan and someone's not, there's only a little bit of a difference.
Right.
As the stock market starts to boom or that compound growth effect starts to take advantage of over time, there's where the disparity of wealth becomes. And that's when we keep talking about this. Oh, there's a wealthy portion of the United States and there's a non-wealthy portion of the United States, right? You know, the givers and the takers and all this other garbage.
Well, there's also the
there.
savers and the non-savers, right?
Oh, it is true.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, I mean, there's some squirrels out there that they actually have every single nickel that they've ever made.
That's
right?
true.
So they're there. You know, the cracks in the system then comes down to, you know, the market swings and inflation and, you know, reverse dollar cost averaging and all these other things where I have conversations with people that they have worries because they have money.
Yeah.
Right?
It's true.
They pay taxes because they've made money.
Right.
And they're pissed off.
Yeah.
I never get someone walk through my door that has not two nickels to rub together that actually has many worries other than the fact that where their next, meal's coming from or something like that.
Well, that's a worry, but yeah.
It is worry, without a doubt. There's no doubt about
worry,
it.
Yeah.
Right? And it is a big portion of it. But it's the whole thing of you don't really have a problem until you have a problem.
Right.
Right? And the problem I always try to tell these people, it's not a problem. It's a blessing.
Yeah, that you've made.
You've got money.
You're right. You got money.
You know,
Right.
you could be the people who have nothing.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So, you know, those are the type of people like Peggy mentioned before. Is if you really want to plan for the future, you have to start today.
Yes.
All right, 908-844-8337. Again, 908-844-8337. What you saw down in Florida, is that reality, or was that the top 1% of the 1%? Because there's some people listening like, dude, I've worked my butt off my entire life. Can I afford to live that life that Peggy and Randy were just describing, with pickleball and golf carts and pools and alligators and just being by myself if that's what I want to do?
Right.
Lions and tigers and bears.
Is that possible?
Yeah, I 100% think it is possible. And you know what's so funny? The reason being, too, is me being in the pool down there at the country club. I was talking to so many different folks in the pool, which was really funny. Yes.
What?
Talking to so many different, because I like to hear what the stories are. How did you
I'm
get
hiding
here?
in the corner and she's talking to me.
Yes, that's true.
Randy's in the room peeking out the curtain.
And I'm like, hi, Phyllis. You know, like, good to
Peggy's
see
like,
you again. See you
we're
tomorrow.
going to dinner with
Pickleball.
Phyllis and Randy tonight.
She's holding court.
Yes.
Everybody's coming up to me trying to answer questions. I'm just trying to like.
Yeah, because I was like, what do I do for a living? When I tell them I'm a financial planner, you know.
Yeah, then you become a superstar. Listen, financial advisor and a doctor. Those are the two most popular people in that community right now.
Yes, correct. That is
Probably.
correct.
So what were
right?
y'all talking about?
So we would talk about different things, like how did they get there? And it's crazy because a lot of people, the savers too, we saved our whole entire life. You know, we still have our house because it was
A lot of people go back and forth.
A lot of people go back and forth, 6 months and 6 months. You know, they all said people go to Florida for the 6 months. You know, their savory months, which are, you know, they try to get out of there by like June. So July, August, September, October, they go back to Florida. But a lot of them, so different stories I would hear. Some would say, you know, I like to go back up with my kids and help them, you know, for the couple months that I'm up there. Then I come home to my peace here in Florida. Right. A lot of people would say, I have 2 homes.
So they don't necessarily have 2 homes.
Yeah.
In that scenario,
Yes,
they don't have 2 homes.
They don't have 2 homes. They would go up with their children, help take care of the kids, which we heard a lot of that too. But then I also did hear from other folks down there who do have 2 homes. They live 6 months and 6 months. Some rent 6 months wherever they are, you know, if you were in New Jersey or wherever you were. Then they would go back down to Florida for, you know, the warm 6 months, as they would call it, you know. Yeah. So there were so many people with so many different stories, you know, down there about that. Some, you know, saved and can do the 2 homes. Some like to be away a little bit from the children while they can in those like nicer months, but then they love to go back. Like a lot of them were saying, hey, you know, we're getting ready to go back, you know, and see the kids and things like that, which I thought was nice too. Because as Randy was saying, for the kids who are up here and it is harder for them, sometimes it's nice if you have mom and dad who can be the caretakers for the children and things like that and help them out, you know, for their future. It was a nice, we saw a nice mix of that as well.
There was, yeah.
Yeah.
But again, a goal comes down to planning again.
Yes.
Right? If you get to the point where you're 65 years old and you say, okay, tomorrow I'm going to retire, and you have no plan on doing it,
right,
you better hope that you have a big garbage can full of money or something, because if you haven't already planned for it, you're going to then have to put all the pieces together. And at the time that you turn 65, what does the market look like right there?
Yeah.
What does the housing market look like?
Right, that's
what
true.
are the interest rates? What is inflation rate? All those things considering, does that change your plans?
Right.
Sure it does,
yes.
without a doubt.
But we talk about that with our clients all the time to prepare for the future of what will happen if the inflation rate rises, right, Rand? And what would happen if, you know, we need some more money somewhere? Where can we get it? Where can we take it from? Those kind of things.
And this is funny because I'm actually starting to write an article on this just the other day. Property taxes and the increase in housing over the past few years has led to huge amounts of inflation. Because now think about this. Just think of your homeowner's insurance. Just think of your property taxes. All those things have gone up exponentially over the last couple of years.
Big time.
People have been reassessed.
Right.
Now, if you live in high property tax states like New Jersey, New York, California, Massachusetts, both coasts,
Yes,
right? West
correct.
Coast, East Coast, you get hammered.
Hammered.
And that's a humongous additional cost in what? Retirement.
It's true.
It's money coming out of your retirement funds. When you pull money out of your biggest asset pool, which is a retirement account, who's your biggest beneficiary? Uncle Sam.
Yeah, so big time.
So if I got to pull out an additional $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 extra because my property taxes have gone up over the past 3 or 4 years consecutively, that's less money I'm going to spend on me or my kids or my grandkids or anywhere else, right? And a portion of every dollar that came out of that account goes to Uncle Sam.
Yeah, taxes. Tax man.
So it's a humongous bear on what your cost of living adjustment is during the course of retirement. Could you do it differently if you did move?
Yeah.
Sure you can.
Yes.
We've got a lot of clients that actually say, you know what, I'm tired of living in New Jersey with these property taxes and everything else. I'm just going to go just slightly south of here. I'm going to where?
Pennsylvania
or Delaware.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
We have other clients that are like, you know what? I'm going south because I want to drink brown liquor with Mark. Right? And they're heading down North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida.
Yes,
right?
it's true.
And those are your people down there.
Yeah.
So when we think brown liquor, we think coffee. When you think brown liquor, you get a little kooky.
I think of a damn good time.
So
sometimes that liquor may come in a mason jar and it's clear too. But listen, don't ask questions. Just enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
People say, "How do I do this?" Like Peggy just mentioned before about not so much downsizing, but using the equity of your home.
Yes, big time.
In certain circumstances. Yeah. Can be very beneficial.
Yes.
Right? And also planning to use the equity in your home.
Right.
In the near future or whenever it may be to say, okay, I'm going to look at homes like Peggy was joking before, but she's really not joking. She was looking at homes.
That was.
It's what we do.
You start, you start looking in your 50s or so and you say, you know what, if I did bite the bullet right now and I can somehow put these ends to meet and I can buy another home down here, how do I do it? Now, if you have those means and you can do both houses at the same time, then that's wonderful.
Right.
But in the near future, that road at the end of that is I'm going to sell one. I'm going to have a windfall. I can either pay off the next one if it's not already paid off, or I can put that to better use. Right. If you can't, then it comes down to that same thing. Do I sell now, rent here, buy there? Do I rent in both places? Yeah. Do I sell? Do I take that equity and move on? So there's a lot of different things you need to do, but it has to do with really what's your fairy tale? What's your retirement golden age supposed to look like?
Right. Yeah.
It's not the end, it's the beginning.
Yes. And for everybody, it's funny because we have so many clients, and for every client is something totally different. Totally different. Some just say, we have a client who's like, I'm 70-something years old, but I like working, so I'm still going to work.
That's called the unretirement.
Yes.
Right?
And he's
the
I call him
unretirement.
the oldie but a goodie. Someone who's been with a company for 40 years. I still love him. I don't know why. There's no reason for me to leave yet, right? I still get a great salary. I still have my health insurance.
Like Winnie the Pooh celebrates the unbirthday. This is the unretirement.
Or we had like another example was we had other clients who came in here the other night and they were telling about how do they love to travel? Yes, but you know what? They live with their kids and they help the kids out with the grandkids and then they travel. So to them, that was their like happy ending.
But you talk again about multi-generational families living together.
Yes, exactly.
3 families living in the same giant house.
Yes.
And it was like 6,000 square feet. They had 2 suites on both sides and they specifically found a house to do it.
Yes.
Because they all wanted to live together, pitch in to some degree.
And everybody live a good, comfortable life. Like they were happy.
There's nobody scrimping on anything.
Yes. They were happy knowing that their children who were working very hard right now for their future retirement, that they could help with the children and help take care of the kids while they went to go work. And their retirement was, the big thing for them is they did the same thing. So they didn't get to enjoy their children. They're now getting to enjoy their grandchildren, which they love. And then their children can work and they all live in this beautiful house together. And they can travel when they want to travel, and that was their fairy tale, right, Rance? I mean, and then to somebody else was like my father-in-law, who I saw work so hard his whole entire life, and I loved his fairy tale too. Happy in Florida chasing alligators. It was great. I loved it.
Chasing alligators.
No, he wasn't.
Or in Randy's case, watching y'all chase alligators, and it's completely quiet.
I was watching the back of my eyelids.
It was the best day. 908-844-8337. We are an independent financial services firm helping individuals create retirement strategies using a variety of financial and insurance products to custom suit their needs and objectives. Investment advisor services offered through Artemis Wealth Advisors, a registered investment advisor. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles discussed should not be considered investment advice or recommendation to buy or sell any financial vehicle. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Investments can fluctuate and when redeemed may be worth more or less than when originally invested. Artemis Wealth Advisors is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Please consult with your attorney, accountant, and or tax advisor for advice concerning your particular circumstances. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Randolph A. Fisher, insurance license number 9616074, and Liberty Financial Group, LLC, and Peggy Fisher, national license number 189-42003 and 570-5833.